few things going on right now in relation to all the news. Pretty much the control grid 2.0 could be what they're trying to set up right now with this oil problem. Not only that, but it's happening not just in these areas that we've been aware of, but in other places around the world too. We're going to look at the Nebraska fires in relation to all of this, and also a secret government memo saying that something's going to happen in 2026. We're also seeing reports of memos going out warning federal officers and people in positions like that to be on alert for something to potentially be going down soon. So we're going to take a look at all this stuff. Just going to make sure the stream is up and running here, and then we'll do it. So let's see. I'm going to speed this up a little bit because, yeah. All right. Let's take a listen to what Mr. Bill Gates has to say in relation to, what happened in 2019 or with the COVID-19 in 2020 and how it's connected to climate change with what we're seeing in the future. My goodness.
It's quite clear in this case that it came across through animals. And almost all our diseases, like HIV, crossed over from chimpanzees in Africa quite some time ago. Ebola came from bats. This also, with one step in between, came from bats. So it's going to keep happening, particularly with climate change, where we're invading a lot of habitats. It's quite clear in this.
So sorry I have to speed that up. I'll slow down, and we'll just listen to the end one more time. It's just the Daily Show. Got to be careful with that one. So Rebecca, Lydia, orangutans, what's up, guys? Sarah here, Isaac, God bless all of you. Nice to see you. Let's listen to what Bill said one more time here at the end, talking about, so we know for sure that with COVID-19, that it probably came from a bat. We know for sure that it was lab created, but he thinks that now all these diseases are going to get worse because of climate change.
In between came from bats. So it's going to keep happening, particularly with climate change, where we're invading a lot of habitats. It's quite clear.
Listen to the words that he uses there. We're invading habitats. Humans are invading areas of the world. God actually gave us dominion over these areas. We're supposed to respect them, but we have dominion over these things. No, we're invading them. Like we're evil. That's exactly what this whole climate change narrative is. And they're going to continue to push that, because that is a narrative where if they can gain the public's opinion behind it, I mean, the public's opinion is pretty much behind it anyway. But if they can get the public to start giving up their rights in the name of climate change, things will not be good, and those rights will never they'll never go away. It was in my pinned comment on my last video on the subject on my main channel, Sling and Stone, because this is all related. Now we have more information in connection to all this. But it's true. If human beings give up their rights to these tyrannical, corrupt governments in the name of climate change, those rights will never come back. Because with the COVID-19 stuff, we knew after like a week, and it was so new. So many people were looking into it. They tried to shut down the free speech on it heavily, and they failed eventually in the long run. The Great Reset did not happen. But if they do it with the climate stuff, they will not give it back. They will not give it back. And there's already so many scientists, faulty science, paid off scientists, paid off studies, all these same people who say that the earth used to be so much better before humans when it was all animals. The CO2 levels back in those times of the earth were way higher than they are now. Way higher. So as the CO2 levels rise, we're getting back to what it used to be like before humans, if that even exists. And they still think it's a problem. They will not give that up if they gain it, because it's already based on lies. And so if people fall for that lie, they'll just continue to feed the lie. We got to make sure we don't submit our rights. We don't submit, we don't give up our rights in the name of climate change, which is probably what they're blaming this whole Nebraska fire thing on, which I don't know if you haven't heard about it. I kind of was hearing a little bit about it, not much, but I didn't know that it was a historic fire, unlike anything that's ever been recorded in the history of Nebraska. Let's take a listen.
And I've been noticing zero media coverage on it. Every camera, every reporter, every headline is pointed at the Middle East. Fire is approaching 1 million acres, one of the largest in U.S. history. And I just want you to think about this when considering this fire being in Nebraska, okay? Before we get to that, I just want you to think about this. Massive wildfires in Nebraska are threatening to slow efforts to rebuild the U.S. cattle herd as key grazing land in one of the nation's top beef producing states has been destroyed. Fires fueled by high winds have burned roughly 775,000 acres of pasture, removing a critical feed source for tens of thousands of cattle, according to state officials. Loss of grassland is expected to delay herd expansion plans, even as producers have been encouraged by historically strong cattle prices. You see where I'm going here? Now think about this. Nebraska just so happens to sit on top of the Ogallala Aquifer, which just so happens to be the largest underground water source in America. Ogallala supplies 30% of all irrigation water used in U.S. agriculture. Think about this. While oil prices go up, fertilizer costs skyrocket. If shipping is interrupted, then grain exports also stall. This is happening during the biggest geopolitical crisis in 50 years. And you really think it's a coincidence?
It's really the perfect storm how this is all lining up. And we've got these oil problems. Now we have these fires. At the same time that one of, this part of the country is doing a lot of farming for the nation. Now they're going to be in the season when they need to start planting. They need fertilizer. They need their farmland. Farmland's being destroyed, getting close to 1 million acres burnt. And at the same time, now fertilizer prices are going to be up. Everything is going to be up because of this whole oil thing being controlled in the Middle East. We're having a perfect storm, which is making some people who look into this stuff theorize, the potential of things getting really bad, even to the point of COVID and even energy lockdowns for controlling energy, keeping that back. I mean, we saw the same thing happening even in 2020 when the whole lockdowns were going on, and they were showing all these videos from I think it was like Rio de Janeiro or something like that, and they were showing the ocean, they were showing the pollution levels way down from cars not driving. Then they were showing like some of the oceans and the marine life, how they were behaving because human activity wasn't doing something. And we could already see them starting to set the stage and lay down the framework and laying just down the predictive programming and the conditioning into people's minds that one day they will try to do climate lockdowns where we do it because we're using too much energy. We're seeing it move in this direction. And the fact that we have an oil refinery in Texas that just randomly blew up. Now it looks like Russia's largest Baltic oil export hub up in smoke. When it was everywhere, this guy says when it's everywhere, it's the agenda. So in Russia now we have an oil refinery up in smoke. Now we have the Iranians controlling the Strait of Hormuz, trying to control the oil being given out into the world, which can really mess up all the trade routes and everything along these lines around the entire world, which is making people theorize the possibility of a COVID lockdown 2.0 type of thing. We cannot let them do that. We really cannot. We pushed back on it in the past. We must resist if they try to do this again. And we got to do it right off the bat. We really do, because they're going to try. And if they do, we can't be for it. We cannot be for it at all. Yeah, it's true. One volcano eruption for 30 minutes is more than every car in America can do. It's insanity that they try to control that, or try to even say that we're doing that. And there is so much faulty science in all this stuff. It's like we can't even really trust what they say. And even just the whole fossil fuel thing, and I guess I haven't really looked into it too much, but it's kind of hard to imagine that oil is just like in massive pits where a bunch of animals just fell and died. How are animals not just walking? I mean, there's no pits even here now on Earth, or any modern pit anywhere where all these animals just fall and die. I mean, not enough to where they're there's now massive pits of oil growing. I mean, it doesn't even make sense that it's connected to oil and animals. And I've heard reports that people have gone back to old wells that were supposedly tapped out, and there's been more oil that refilled. To me, it appears like a natural resource that just is in the earth. So Let's take a listen to this lady, Catherine Fitz. I forget her connection. She was like worked with Trump's government or something like that. Anyways, let's take a listen to what she has to say and her theorizing about all this stuff going down.
But as a percentage, the Straits of Hormuz are hugely important. So now we're listening to USA. Oh, we're helpless up against Iran, who's been suffering under, extraordinary sanctions that if that was really true, they wouldn't have all these amazing hypersonic missiles, yada, yada, yada. Okay. And now what we're watching is the entire global economy being severely shut down. So let me give you an example. We're in March. What is March?
What do you mean? What is March?
It's the spring, right?
Right.
What happens in the spring?
Yeah, less demand for fuel perhaps in the West.
No.
I agree,
no.
Timothy.
Come on, you're in the Netherlands. You're in the Netherlands, one of the greatest food exporters in the world.
Yeah, right. It's growing season. Yeah.
Farmers plant in the spring. Right now, we are shutting down the critical ingredients to most European factories who make fertilizer.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And so by the time that gets through, whenever it gets through, it's going to be too late to make the fertilizer. You're going to miss the whole spring season.
She's thinking this could possibly get to this. And, it is good that a lot of people theorize about this stuff, even if it doesn't happen. If you look all through the years, anytime something major is happening, people come up with these theories like this could happen. And it's good that we do that. So we're on alert for the possibilities. I don't know if it will get to this, but we should be mindful that this could happen, because if really these farms do not get, the oil and the fuel that they need to do the farming, then by the time we get to, a couple years down, or not a couple years, a couple months down the line where we need these harvests, there won't be as much. Already in Australia, in relation to this whole fuel shortage thing, they're seeing prices skyrocket up to 25 to 30% on top of what they already are now, which is insane. The book of Revelation does say that one day when the black horse of the apocalypse is released upon the earth, that a loaf of bread will be equal to a day's wages. I don't think are close to that, but my goodness, it's insane how expensive things have gotten. And people in our governments should really be doing something about it. It's sad how corrupt our government is and how many of these people are just involved in so many different things. Tax fraud, stock, insider trading. I mean, if we knew the level of corruption, wasn't it Bill Gates, or not Bill Gates, George Bush's dad, or Bill Clinton, or someone, one of them was quoted saying, if they knew how corrupt everything was, we'd all be hung, or something like that. And for sure that's, or they'd be chasing us down the streets to the gallows. Man, it's a mess how all of this is happening. This is just to be on alert. If you garden or something, plant more. If you sometimes buy a couple extra cans at the grocery store of something that you like, that you'll eat later and it won't get expired and thrown away, maybe buy more, because the possibility here of something happening is looking like there's a scenario where if things don't get under control, at the very least, prices will go up. And then at least you saved a little bit of money because you bought something that was cheaper.
So I don't know. I just saw a headline: Goldman Sachs, leading member of the New York Fed, says that it's going to be shut down for 21 days, right?
Yeah.
Missed the planting season. Okay, so if you look at the material coming through that's critical to chip production, the material coming through the straits that's critical to fertilizer and food, and the material coming through that's critical to energy, you're talking about massive dislocation of the global economy. And if it goes on for long enough, I mean, we have Peru, Thailand, other people talking about doing COVID kind of shutdowns to save gas and fuel.
Yeah.
And they're doing that. I know that a lot of this is kind of repetitive to what I just posted on my main channel, Sling the Stone, in case you watched it. But this is just more information that's new that I saw happening now, breaking, and these things are being posted in the past few days. So I just wanted to kind of add on top of that, because this is a real thing that we're seeing happen in the world right now. Super cartoonist. Yeah, I mean, I fully agree that we definitely can't stop prophecy from happening. But I also, fully believe anything is possible with God. I have hope for good times. I have hope for revival. I have plans and hopes and dreams for my future that I hope happen. But you have to keep all possibilities open. You got to look at reality for what it could become quickly and what it could become way in the future. So I keep both possibilities in my mind. And I think that as Christians, we should plan and act for both. I think we should do our best to act as if, Jesus, we're told to believe as if Jesus could come in any moment and to live in that way, like the master of the house could return at any moment. And to spend your time wisely, spread the gospel, and focus on the things that are really important and really matter, which is the kingdom of God and those things that last forever. And, at the same time, I think it's important that we live with that in mind. Of course, always that. But also keep in mind these things, these end time things could happen at any moment. They could start or they could be way in the future. And we should prepare for both possibilities. That's the way that I look at it. But, I don't think we should try to initiate prophecy like some of these people who donate to the Third Temple Institute so they can build the Third Temple. I think that's insane to donate to the building that the Antichrist is going to stand in. And I also think that we shouldn't try for it to happen. And we should also believe it could be way in the future. And we want peace and good times and revival in the meantime. That's how I look at it. They tell us that they know the CO2 levels were higher back then based off of, I think mainly off of the ice, drilling the ice in Antarctica or in, the North Pole, mainly the Antarctica. And they can somehow tell in the ice because of that. That's how they say it. And yeah, even if that's true, it's ridiculous that they do this, especially when you look at Earth's history, even according to their own mainstream science of the 5 billion year old Earth and all this stuff that I don't even think is real. Even according to their stuff, it doesn't make sense. We're not even close to the CO2 levels that we were when the dinosaurs and the Jurassic areas and the Jurassic periods and times like that. That's why all the plants were so big. You can literally buy online CO2 to pump into your greenhouse because it makes plants grow better. And they say that it's terrible for the earth. They could literally plant more trees and counter it if they even wanted to. Jarius, glad you could make the live stream, man. God bless you. Happy to have you here. A couple more minutes of this video, then we'll move on to a few more things.
Right. But you're talking about intentionally shutting down the global economy. And it didn't start with Iran and it didn't start with the United States. It started with the City of London. So Lloyd's of London shut down the straits with all their insurance company friends and reinsurance company friends, right? So the city shuts down the straits. And now the Iran is helping supposedly to keep it shut down.
Yeah.
Do you buy that story that the U.S. military is helpless?
No, but what I struggle with is it seems like a lot of countries and citizens across the world are going to suffer as a result of this war and as a result of the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. So there will be global disorder and chaos to a large extent. And even if you look at Japan, they're especially vulnerable. But in the Second World War, Japan did Pearl Harbor, at least that's the common story, because they were shut off from the oil market. So when countries are in desperate position, they're going to take desperate measures. So this could easily lead to a much larger world war, this conflict in the Middle East. So that's a huge gamble then that the global elite, for example, are taking, because they run a risk themselves too. If we have a nuclear escalation and a nuclear holocaust, what's in it for them?
So, what's...
Yeah, no, I get what you, super cartoonist. I agree. I'm on the same page. I'm just saying that, people have different points of view when it comes to the prophecy stuff. Some people try to do the things that will hasten the coming of Jesus, like building the third temple, and that's just not right. And other things like that, that's not right. I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but some people do believe that. But also, I know we can't stop it. We definitely can't. But at the same time, we don't know. And even if you think about the different people around the world and the different scenarios that some people are in, I mean, any person living in North Korea, they're practically living in the Great Tribulation. No food, no this. You get persecuted for talking about Jesus Christ. You get thrown into a camp or killed. I mean, they're practically living in the end times right now because of what they're living in. So for some people, they're already there. But when it actually, again, unfolds on the earth, we don't know when that could be. And so I think we should do our best in the meantime to try to stand up for truth and justice in the world. And then when it's just absolutely happening, I guess in that moment, then like there's nothing else that you can do besides focus on the gospel, which is again the most important thing that we should be doing now. Anyways.
What's in it for them is implementing the control grid and depopulation together.
Yeah.
That's what's in it for them. If this is, because we don't know yet. I think it's too early. I can't tell whether you're looking at massive incompetence on the basis of the US, or you're looking at an intentional desire to shut down. So this is COVID 2.0.
Yeah.
Because this is how you shut down. This is a new excuse to shut down to preserve energy and food. I think the big problem here is famine. So you have seen the new administration in the United States systematically cut the domestic funds that are available to support food for poor people in emergencies, as well as the USAID and State Department aid to protect countries that have emergencies, like food. So you have, I don't know, 25 maybe $1 billion traditionally that the US had available to stop famines. That money is all cut. And now you have something that's creating the conditions of famine. So, to me, that's very disturbing.
So we'll see where this goes. Wanted to kind of, put a warning out there to anybody who watches this. It's smart to just be on, keep this stuff in your mind that this could happen. And, Dave, you made a good point that, storing water, can be good and necessary in certain situations. But what really it would be good is to just have a really good water filter. Because then you could just, you can, if you live in America, as long as you're not like in Arizona or something, or like, in those areas, the desert areas, you can pretty much find dirty water anywhere, even there probably. Thanks that you said you watch my channel all the time. Take me dreaming. God bless you. Got a couple more videos here that we'll kind of get through quickly, just in relation to this. Start this off. This was just an interesting...
Cuba, and there is no electricity anywhere.
This was just wild. I didn't see this angle of in Cuba. At the same time that this is happening around the world, it seems like this is like not a coincidence. How we have this whole oil situation when the Strait of Hormuz with the Iran war, people saying there's going to be energy crises in relation to this. Then we have the refinery in Texas blow up. There's a refinery in Russia that blows up. A week ago, little over a week ago, Cuba has been in a nationwide blackout. Their grid completely collapsed. And I mean, this is like dystopian looking stuff here. It looks like it's like an abandoned, it's like abandoned Earth here. It's like, why is all this stuff happening at the same time? And it's the same thing like with the meteors all happening right now. We never see that many meteors like that in daytime meteor sightings. Big meteor sightings like that. I mean, they normally happen like that. Like I mentioned in my previous videos on this, like every, like a couple years or maybe a few months, you'll get a one like that, or a big one that's seen on Ring camera, like at night or something like that. We've had multiple huge ones, like 10, I think, in the past couple weeks. Daylight sightings, which is just rare. Like, why are all of these things now happening at the same exact time? It feels like something is happening. This could just be a weird time right now. I really always look at things through the possibility of really just everything that it could be. This could just be a weird thing happening right now. Doesn't mean like we're in the Great Tribulation, Revelation's about to happen. It could, it couldn't. We don't know. I don't think so. But it's weird. It's just odd. I don't know. And there's also what's going on with these massive machines that they're doing. They're messing around with CERN. They're messing around with all of these different things, technologies, supposedly psionic technology, all these different possibilities. They could be messing with the climate. Who knows what they actually have and what they're doing? Way beyond what we're even aware of. Kind of in relation to all this, here's some footage from Hawaii. There's been massive storms. I mean, everyone is just talking about the Middle East. You're not even hearing about these things here. I mean, pretty much no one's talking about the Nebraska fires. And they're pretty bad. They look really bad. Historic. Worst ever on record there. I don't know for sure. Hopefully not, but maybe this is in connection to this whole thing right here. I think this actually was mentioned in 2025. Sorry, let me try and move this around. In 2025. Pretty sure that's when this video is from. But still, it's in relation to what's about to happen in April 2026.
Secretary Hegseth, sir, a memo circulating on social media details the establishment of a National Guard response force that's going to be trained in crowd control and civil unrest and deployed in all 50 states by April of 2026. Can you verify the authenticity of that memo, and do you have any more information on the operations?
I'm not going to answer particulars on something that may be in the planning process, but we definitely do have multiple layers of National Guard response forces, whether it's in each state, whether it's regionally, whether it's Title 10 active duty, whether it's Washington, D.C. We've got a lot of different ways that constitutionally and legally we can employ Title 10 and Title 32 forces, and we will do so when necessary.
Secretary Hegseth,
I guess there was a memo going around 2025 about some plans for a National Guard deployment nationwide before April 2026. I tried to look around. I think I found it. I skimmed through it. You know, our government has tons of these things. You know, if you guys have been around for a long time looking in this stuff, you're probably aware of all these things. Like, man, I don't even remember now some of them. Like what is it? The Rex? Man, I'm sure you guys know. It's like Rex 78 or something. It's been years since I've thought about that or heard about that. But it's like the whole government, military, they have the right. They say they have the right to institute martial law pretty much within the government or within the United States. It's some government document, some military document like Rex something. Then they have like all the executive orders Obama signed into power where he gained all these different positions of power that he could institute martial law. Rex 84. Yeah, that's it. I knew someone, most of you guys probably are aware of it. So, I mean, they have these things, so I'm not surprised if there is some different things going out. But what is the development that the National Guard is going to be doing nationwide before April 2026? I'm sure someone like Chris Bledsoe might say, see, they know, because it's coming in April 2026. Before April 5th, there's going to be the Star of Regulus in the Sphinx above the Sphinx, and the orbs are going to come here to help us and bring us to the next level of enlightenment. Man, that guy is so deceptive. I was seeing more stuff about him today. Crazy. So, yeah, I'm not sure what that means. What this means, this National Guard thing, is it in relation to what we're, seeing around the world right now? Did they know that this stuff is coming? Are they planning like a lockdown 2.0 in relation to energy, in relation to oil, in relation to prices, stuff like that? Could be. You never know, man. Kind of same thing here. The FBI sent out a memo to law enforcement detailing an elevated threat to the United States during the U.S.-Iran war, citing for situational awareness and all of the officers to take, extra precautions in what they're doing. Interesting times. It definitely makes sense that that's something that they would need to do because, yeah, things are moving in a lot of different directions right now. Subjection of Department of Defense, Civil Disturbance Plan 55-2, regulating large-scale suppressions, arrest, detaining of civilians, and yeah, that's right, an emergency. And it's just, that might have even been, or it was around the same time that those things were becoming widely known, was the FEMA camp and the FEMA locations, or the FEMA zones. I mean, man, that's like 2012 conspiracy stuff. And those things are real, and they've been around for a long time. And they could, I remember that's why some of the times when, like, I try to be conservative, I definitely don't set dates. If things are looking sketchy, I'll say it. But I think there's always possibilities for things to go on into the future where we have more time than we think. Because I literally remember back in like 2012, walking my dog outside, listening to Alex Jones reading off this Rex 84 thing. about the thing and how the government was about to, the military just instituted a thing where they could arrest civilians. And I thought for sure within the next week, it was about to go down 100%. And there's been multiple times when I've been in my journey of waking up to all this stuff that I've read things online and been like, this is it. Or how many times, or how many of us standing in line at 7 a.m. at Walmart, spacing out between each other, and they're letting 5 people in at a time in 2020, were we not all looking at each other and thinking, you know, it might actually be starting now. And then here we are 6 years later. So it's like, we don't know for sure. And so we should try for the best, try to change things around, do our best to make this nation the best place it can be, a Christian nation. Same things in our communities, in our states. We want them to be Christian nations. That is America. It's not an atheist nation. It's nothing else. It's a Christian nation, and that's what we should be aiming for it, and for it to prosper under those ways, because that's what made America so prosperous in the first place. And so, yeah, I think that that's just what our heart should be, to do the best, to spread the gospel and to make our nation be Christian nation, to spread it to the rest of the world, have people find that saving grace of Jesus Christ. And if it just starts to all go down one of these days, then we'll be with the Lord soon. We'll do another live stream soon, guys. This is just a little update on some of the stuff going around right now. Always be in prayer, steadfast in prayer, immovable, trusting in the Lord Jesus Christ. He will lead us to all truth in all situations of life. Appreciate you guys coming on the live stream. We'll do another live stream again very soon, and I'll kind of hang out in the chat more. Maybe have more stuff pulled up to where I could just read chat while videos play. That way I can interact more. So, again, appreciate all you guys. God bless you.